guys, Veggie Gamer back, and we're back to checking out the Harry Potter and Philosopher's Stone review. VEGGIEKNIGHTS. Yes, we're about to do the book reviews, guys. I'm so sorry about how the time between getting these out. I do intend to shorten that time, but RL is such for me that it's been quite difficult. But you know, we got a lot of chapters in the future books to get through, so I will attempt to get these out more quickly. So I do apologize about the wait. But we're back again, guys. We're checking out chapters 13 to 15. So that means that the next video that we do will be the end of the Philosopher's Stone / Sorcerer's Stone, guys. Which is perfect, because we'll have 2 chapters and then like some extra time to discuss the book as a whole. And so I'm looking forward to that. Yes, so thank you all so much for taking part in the Harry Potter book club, guys. If you don't know, guys, these book reviews are appearing on the Discord first before they appear for free on the YouTube channel. Did I say Discord? Okay. Patreon. I'm sorry, okay, start again. These videos are appearing on the Patreon first, guys. The Patreon, if you want to sign up for, there's no minimum. You can pay as little as you want and get access to all the book reviews that we've done so far. You also get access to the full-length movie reactions and also Arcane, which I've started doing now. You will need your own copies of all those to sync up to, but I give timestamps and everything to make it easy to do. And also, one benefit of signing up to the Discord, guys, that you can be a part of the Harry Potter book club. Now, this is something that we'll be covering at the end of the video, where I put out a notification saying, hey, give me your thoughts, your opinions, and your questions about these chapters that we're covering. And it's kind of like we're experiencing the book at the same time, you know, and so we'll be reading those after we get through these chapters today. But if you want to be a part of the discussion and get your comment read out in the video, be sure to go and sign up to the Patreon if you want, guys. If not, don't worry. I read all my YouTube comments as well. As if you've got something that you want to tell just to me, I will still have read it. Is what I'm trying to say. So no pressure at all if you can't afford the Patreon, or if it's just something that you don't want to do. But either way, we're going to be doing starting off with Nicholas Flamel here. One thing which I forgot to mention in the last one is that I really like the fact that when Vernon and Petunia give Harry a 50 pence coin for Christmas, like Ron is just like mystified by the shape of it, which is absolutely hilarious because 50 pences are quite strangely shaped as well. But and they were a lot bigger in the 90s as well, because it all takes place in the 90s. But yeah, so I thought that was really nice. It's a little note which I forgot to mention last time. Also, guys, if you could avoid, let me know things which I will learn about in the future of the books when it comes to like in the comments on YouTube and on the Patreon and everything, just so I can experience these like, you know, these differences you know, firsthand and everything. It's not the end of the world, but it is better if we discuss these things after I've covered them in the books and everything. That being said, one thing which I did notice a few people pointing out is that I wonder if we're ever going to be meeting a Pewit in the books or anything. Apparently, we absolutely will, guys, because apparently Molly, or we already have, in fact, because apparently Molly is a Pewit, which is just like, I had no idea at all, but that makes a lot of sense, though, and so, yeah, when it comes to, like, leaving comments and so on, if you could hold back from discussing things that we will be discussing in the future, but you know what, I have moderators who are greatly appreciated, who are making sure that I'm not seeing anything that I shouldn't be at this point, and so, enough said, let's get on with Chapter 13, Nicholas Flamel. So as always, guys, I write a little summary of the chapter, and then we go through my notes that I've made for the chapter. But here we go, Chapter 13, Nicholas Flamel. After promising to not sort out the mirror again to Dumbledore, Harry has started to have disturbing dreams. The search for information for Nicholas Flamel continues to be fruitless. While preparing for an upcoming match against Hufflepuff, the Gryffindor team are dismayed to discover that Snape will be refereeing the game. Back in the Gryffindor common room, Harry tells Ron and Hermione the news, when Neville enters with a curse making him bunny hop around. Hermione removes the curse, and Harry gives Neville his last chocolate frog to cheer him up. Malfoy, Draco being the one who put the curse on him. Neville gives Harry the card from the chocolate frog back, who is Dumbledore again, and Harry suddenly realizes where he's heard the name Flamel before. Hermione is able to do some research and discover that Flamel is the creator of the Philosopher's Stone. It's game day, and it's game day for Gryffindor and Hufflepuff. And after flagrant cheating and underhanded tactics, Gryffindor eke out a win against Hufflepuff. Snape, who was clearly biased throughout the game, let Gryffindor win, but pretends to look annoyed at the result. Hufflepuff, whose best players were absent from the game because they were busy saving children from burning orphanage, took the loss like real heroes. After the match, Dumbledore comes to the Hufflepuff team and tells them that they are the true house champions. Later that day, Harry spies Snape sneaking into the Forbidden Forest. He overhears him appearing to intimidate Quirrell on about how to get past Fluffy and to get to this Philosopher's Stone. He relays this information back to Ron and Hermione. I gotta apologise, guys. I had to say in all these videos I am dyslexic, but it is amazing that I can't even read my own writing when it comes to these. But yes, I apologise about how much I stumble over. It's something which I do try to overcome. But yes, very interesting chapter, guys. We've got a lot to discuss, obviously, in this chapter, but let's go through it as I've got my list. And so, I remember a line from the movie, and I was wondering if maybe it wasn't from this scene. With the mirror in the previous chapters. I thought it was then where Dumbledore essentially says, Harry, you know that there's no magic that can bring the dead back to life. I thought it was that scene, and that line certainly was not in the book, so which is an interesting difference, because I remember thinking that line was very powerful but also very important, because it really sets up the fact that when someone's gone, they're gone. And so that was kind of strangely missing from that chapter. Like I say, it's been a while since I watched the movie, guys. I really should do a refresher for Chamber when we start that, which will be soon. But I thought it was in the mirror scene where Dumbledore is there and he says to Harry, you know that there's no way to bring back people with magic. But that is absent from the book, though. Very interesting. So Harry started having these like nightmares again, and it refers to again the laughing that happens when he's having these terrible nightmares. He hears a laugh from his past, and this laugh is not the only time I can think of when Voldemort laughs in the movie is when Neville's doing his final speech, and Voldemort's like, which is amazing. But yes, we keep on hearing about this laugh. So when Hermione finds out about Harry sneaking out at night and going to this mirror and everything, she gives him like an earful, which is amazing. I love the fact that Hermione has obviously changed a lot in these last few chapters, but she's still Hermione, and so she's furious about Harry like sneaking around at night, and you know what happens if Filch caught you and all this sort of stuff. I guess it's more that she's worried that Harry might get expelled, because that is on the cards here, guys. I think more than it was in the movies. I can't remember anyone threatening to be expelled in Philosopher's Stone specifically. Obviously in Chamber it's a bit different, but in Philosopher's Stone I don't think at any point anyone's like saying that we're going to kick you out. But we have had a couple of references of if you don't shape up then you will be, you know, leaving Hogwarts. And so that is a recurring theme here, the fact that Harry has to keep an eye on what he's doing and make sure that he's not getting caught, because there is this sort of Damocles? I can't remember. You know, something. You know, this risk of him actually getting kicked out of Hogwarts. And imagine what that would. Harry would essentially have nothing then, wouldn't he? He would know about the magic world, but I don't know. Then again, it didn't do Hagrid too bad, did it? Yeah, maybe it wouldn't be as bad as maybe I'm speculating, but either way. So yes, we have a whole different Quidditch game here, guys, which I wasn't expecting at all, which is ridiculous, because it is ridiculous actually, because when I watched the movie, I was thinking, okay, so this is going to be like, we're going to have Quidditch matches building up to the big Quidditch match at the end, but no, we only had one. And yet now when I'm experiencing the books, I'm surprised that there's more than one game. And so yes, this one is actually going to put Gryffindor above Slytherin if they beat Hufflepuff. And it'll be the first time that they've got been above Slytherin for like 7 years, which is very interesting. We have Ron and Hermione playing chess, which is nice, guys. I'm glad that the chess is getting like referred to a lot, because I fully expect the chess scene from the movie to be in the book, and so it is teasing this thing of the fact that Ron is this, like, you know, chess whiz kid and everything, literally. Yes, and it like says how it's the only thing that Hermione loses at, and Harry and Ron think that that's really good for her, or something like that. Just hilarious. There is a discussion about how Hermione's like saying that Harry shouldn't play in this game because it's going to be so dangerous with Snape refereeing, because obviously at this point they think that Snape is the one who's trying to do in Harry in the last game. And Harry like says how there's no backup seekers, which is very interesting, guys. The fact that they wouldn't have backups. I guess it is different in the Wizarding world, because when I heard that I thought, well, what if you're ill? What if you got a cold or something? But then I remembered these are wizards, and so it's very possible that those things just don't exist. There's probably curses that are similar to, like, you know, common colds and things like that, but in the Wizarding world, maybe people just don't get, you know, like, sick tummies and all that sort of thing, because in the movies, at least, we have a scene with Slughorn and Hermione in the table when they're eating profiteroles. And Slughorn has no idea what a dentist is. So maybe in the wizard world, you know, subconsciously, the same way that Harry made his hair grow back each night whenever Petunia would get it cut. Maybe it's a subconscious thing where your teeth are always just, like, you know, magically staying perfect, and you're not catching colds or getting hay fever or all these any other common, you know, ailments that people have. And so that might be why. I mean, I wonder if Pomfrey doesn't actually have that much work because of that. Because really, people aren't just getting sick. Obviously, they're able to break wrists and things like that, like we had with Neville and so on. They're obviously probably very, very quick to heal. But when it comes to actual illness, which isn't a curse or a poison, maybe that sort of thing just doesn't happen. So very interesting. So yeah, Harry is the only Seeker, which means that in the previous year they wouldn't have had, or at least at the end of the previous year, they would have lost their Seeker, and I believe that would have probably been Charlie Weasley. And so once Charlie, you know, graduated Hogwarts, there was this gap, and maybe that's why McGonagall was so happy that they had this new person. It's very possible that maybe Gryffindor had their eyes on someone else to potentially, maybe someone who's already on the team to potentially take up the Seeker part, but at the start of this year, they literally didn't have a Seeker at all, because they just lost Charlie, I'd imagine. So that's very interesting. So yes, Neville comes in with the I can't remember what it's called, but the curse, like, making his feet stay together and everything. And Hermione immediately takes the curse off. I don't like the fact that she didn't do that in the movie, guys. Hermione is so different in the books. And book Hermione, there is never a situation where Neville would come in with this curse on, and her knowing how to remove the curse, the counter curse, knowing the counter curse, and her not use it. Whereas I know that she's meant to be excited about, like, the Nicholas Flamel information here, but so far Hermione and Harry are the characters who are the most different, and we will get into actually how different Harry is. Harry's so different than he is in the movie. I feel like in the movies they wanted him to be the, how can I put this nicely, the clean cut butter wouldn't melt protagonist good guy that we're all rooting for. In the book, he's a kid, guys. In the book, he is a kid, and he can be pretty... He hasn't been nasty at any point, but he acts like a kid. Like, if someone's nasty to him, he wants to be nasty back to that person, which isn't something which is really covered in the movies, where he's just like a very stoic character, in the early movies, I should say. But yes, Harry and Hermione, very, very different in the book. And the fact that Hermione didn't just instantly take that curse off, I gotta say, at the time it didn't, you know, it stick out to me. But having learned what Hermione's like in the book, to me, I was like, well, why? Maybe they wanted the funny bit of Neville saying, what about the counter curse, and falling over. But to me, I didn't find it funny, because he's getting bullied, guys. You know? So, knowing what Hermione's like in the books, she would have absolutely just removed that. She would have used the counter curse straight away. Anyway. We get Neville again saying about how he doesn't feel like that he knows that he's not brave enough to be in Gryffindor, which is very interesting, guys. Neville is in the book so much more, to the point where if you were going to have a front page with Ron, Hermione, and Harry on it, you would have to have Neville as well, because he's pretty much in it as much as everyone else. If not, I'm wondering if he's even in it more than Ron. No, it's close, guys. He is in the book constantly. And yeah, again, we hear about, because obviously the Sorting Hat took a long time to decide which house he would be in. But yeah, Neville really down on himself, saying that, he's not brave enough to be in Gryffindor. And Harry nicely says, you're worth 12 of Malfoy. And gives him the chocolate frog and says that at least he's not in stinking Slytherin, which is amazing. So yes, Harry gets the Dumbledore card again, which I'd imagine is in the movie. I can't quite remember the scene, guys, but I'd imagine that this that he opens. I don't think he gives Neville a chocolate frog, but I'd imagine he's just having a chocolate frog there and gets the Dumbledore card again. Big coincidence, guys. In the books, there are lots of coincidences, which I'm wondering are not coincidences. I wonder if maybe Dumbledore, because we know that Dumbledore knows more than what he's letting on throughout this entire book. Definitely. Maybe I'm wrong there, guys, but I personally think that Dumbledore is puppeteering pulling the strings to allow certain things to happen, and the fact that the last chocolate frog that Harry has, and he just happens to open it as just after talking about Nicholas Flamel and everything. I don't know, guys, but I don't know. Let me know what you think of that. Do you think that Dumbledore has his hands more than he's letting on in this playing out of this story? There's something in a later on chapter we will be covering today, which I do think is a little bit too convenient to happen, but almost like too much of a plot device, but we'll get to that at that point. But yes, in my head, I feel like Dumbledore may be letting these little things, like the fact that his card is the last one that Harry sees and everything, opens, I should say. So yeah, they're researching. I think they're doing homework on werewolves and treating werewolf bites and everything. I'm a little bit confused about how werewolves work, guys, because I didn't realize that it was like vampires. At least in this world, it appears to be. Is it that if you survive a werewolf attack, then you become a werewolf, which is kind of like vampires? And also, vampires kill people as well as transform them into other vampires. So, yeah, werewolves are a bit different. I've never heard this before in literature, where werewolves is like a curse that's passed on by other werewolves. But that's very possibly something which is established in other stories. But it's new on me. Yeah, Ron and Hermione are talking about what they'd buy if they were to have the Philosopher's Stone, guys, which is such a... Again, you wouldn't have that in the movie. You wouldn't have Harry saying, oh yeah, I'd buy this and I'd buy that and everything like this and everything. Because he's too busy just being a little bit... I don't want to say vanilla, because I think he's great in the first movie, but it's little moments like this where Ron and Harry are just dreaming up what they would do with infinite money and everything if they had the Philosopher's Stone and able to turn things into gold. Much like in previous chapters where Ron and Harry are talking about ways that they'd love to see Draco get expelled and so on, and ways to get back at him. Little things that would never appear in a movie because Harry is this very clean character in the movie. And yes, Harry thinks that Snape is following him, which is interesting. I wonder if that's paranoia or if Snape is actually keeping an eye on him. I don't know. Part of me kind of hopes it's paranoia, because that's very character building for Harry. But yeah, the fact that he thinks that Snape is around each corner and so on. So now we get to the Quidditch match, guys. And I gotta say, this is the first big disappointment in these books, because... Well, okay, I'll put it like this. I'm willing to believe that there are wizards, that are, that there is this magical skull that you can run through walls to get to a hidden train station, that there are dragons, that there are invincibility stones, that there are invisibility cloaks, and that horcruxes that can split up someone's soul and so on like that. I'm willing to go with all of that. But the idea that Hufflepuff would have lost this game is just dumb. I know I'm not the only one who's thinking that, guys. I know that you watching this video are nodding your head in agreement right now. It's too far-fetched, guys. It really is. I gotta admit, I nearly did turn the because I'm listening to the audiobooks. I did nearly turn the audiobooks off because it's just like, I'm fine for a story to take me down a certain path to lead to a payoff, but don't treat me like an idiot. We all know that Hufflepuff would not have lost this match, but for some reason the author decided to do. She must have been having a really off day for some reason. But anyway, why? Oh yes. Now this is an interesting line. I think that like Neville oversees Ron and Hermione. The fact that they're clutching their wands whilst going to the Quidditch match because they're worried that Snape's going to kick off again, or kick off again. And like Neville finds it weird that why would they bring their wands to a match? That's fascinating. Because up to this point, guys, I thought that you essentially have your wand on you like a Swiss Army knife. Where it's something that's always going to be useful for different reasons. Not just for combat, for everything, like opening your bottle cap or something like that. But it's very interesting that Neville is surprised to see them with their wands. Because we know that Hermione had her wand in the first match, and that was she didn't have any reason to believe anything bad was going to happen there. So that was a strange line. Maybe I heard that wrong, but that line was like, well, I would have thought that no matter what situation. Yeah, because during the wedding on Deathly Hallows Part 1, they have their wands with them. Bit different, considering how paranoid they are there. But I thought you just had your wand on you. Like if you see someone in trouble or something, but you haven't got your wand on it. What I'm trying to say is that line almost suggests that Neville sees wands as just being a weapon. But no, that isn't how I saw it at all. Okay, I reckon I must have misheard this line, guys, but I swear there's a line where Neville essentially thinks to himself, why they brought their wands to the match. That's an interesting line. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that line, actually. Yeah, it's a surprise that Dumbledore's at the match as well, which is very interesting. Now, I'm pretty sure that we didn't see Dumbledore at the match in the first movie. We did in the second movie, which is very telling. That is very telling. So yeah, in the first movie, McGonagall, Snape, Quirrell, Hagrid are there. I'm pretty sure we don't see Dumbledore at the first Quidditch match. But then you jump forward to his prisoner, wasn't it? Prisoner? Was it prisoner? It was Prisoner of Azkaban, where Dumbledore is there. Now, I'm wondering if maybe that is because it's the last game of the season, potentially, because it is raining, and it's meant to be rainy weather during this match as well, the one where Hufflepuff should have won, but didn't. It's also raining here, and so maybe Dumbledore turns up for the last ones, but, I don't know, maybe that's going to get covered. Maybe there is a reason why he's actually there. Actually, it could be because of all the Dementors and everything. Oh, maybe that's it. We'll find out when we get there. But yeah, maybe that's the reason why Dumbledore is at the stadium. Sorry guys, I'm just eating my finger. George gets penalised for knocking a bludger at Snape. Would that be... I mean... I know that George and Fred and George, I know that some of you get annoyed when I say George and Fred, but when Fred and George are always like mucking around and everything, but they know that they're up against it because of Snape. But yeah, maybe he didn't do it on purpose. Maybe he didn't do it on purpose and Snape is just doing that, to be biased and everything. That's probably what's going on there. Yeah, so there's something which I didn't cover in my blurb, guys. I apologise. The fact that Malfoy with Crabbe and Goyle are like behind Ron and Hermione, and like goading them and everything, and it turns into like a proper fist fight and everything. And Neville gets involved as well. This is interesting because I rattle my brain back, and I'm pretty sure that in every situation, including in the first Quidditch game in the book, that the crowds are team by team. So like Gryffindor have their area, Slytherin have theirs. So I don't know if this is suggesting that Draco, Crabbe and Goyle have like infiltrated, well not infiltrated, just gone to the Gryffindor crowd. But yeah, in the first game, it's all Gryffindors together. You even have Hagrid, the Gryffindor, there with Neville and Dean Thomas and Ron and Hermione all there together. It does seem odd that in this one, Draco's there. Because certainly in the movies, apart from Luna, which is different, because obviously Luna is supporting Gryffindor in that movie. It's Half-Blood Prince, isn't it? It does seem odd that in this scene, there are Slytherins and Gryffindor together. But like I say, maybe Draco and Crabbe and Goyle are in the Gryffindor area. But it'd be strange that wasn't actually mentioned. So yes, apparently this game is incredibly short compared to all other Quidditch matches. I don't know if it actually is a record. I think that someone does say, that's got to be a record. I don't know, and maybe it actually is. But Harry does somehow win the game for Gryffindor in like record timing, apparently. And it says that he's going to the broom shed, which is outside of Hogwarts, which is interesting because I assumed, because we saw it a couple of times. We saw it in Chamber and we saw it in Goblet of Fire, where there is a place called a broom cupboard. Like Crabbe and Goyle get like dumped in the broom cupboard, and oh no, Rita Skeeter. There we go. Nearly got me. Rita Skeeter interviews each House Wizard Cup, not House Cup, you know, the Wizard Cup contestant in the broom cupboard. I thought that the broom cupboard was literally where you kept your flying broom, but maybe it's literally the broom cupboard for the sweeping up, you know, Filch's cupboard maybe. But yeah, I always assumed that that's where the brooms were kept, but no, apparently there is a broom shed outside of the actual building of Hogwarts. So yes, Snape enters the the Forbidden Forest, this is completely new, guys. I gotta say, these chapters that we're going to be going into are very, very different from the movies. And I gotta say, nearly exclusively, I prefer the book. But yes, we have this scene where Snape goes into the Forbidden Forest and meets up with Quirrell. Harry's like hovering, like listening to him and everything. And again, we're getting this friction between Quirrell and Snape apparently trying to get information out of Quirrell, but I think that what we know later on is that he's trying to intimidate him into not doing something. I'm hoping that it's clearer what Snape's gig was at the end of the book, because in the movie I was still a bit confused. There was never that payoff moment of, oh no, that's what Snape was doing. No, we just don't get that, which is interesting. But yes, more Snape and Quirrell, which is always good to hear. It's similar to the scene where when Harry is sneaking around with the invisibility cloak and gets to the mirror. We didn't have that scene in the book actually, where like he goes around the corner and Snape and Quirrell are there. Snape's there with Filch, but not with Quirrell though. And so I guess that scene is a replacement, which is fair enough. They're obviously up against timing and everything, but yeah, it was nice. It's nice It's nice to experience the book because it's more relaxed. It's not like they're trying to fit everything in. In the book, you can take your time with it, and so it was nice for that to be an actual separate scene. Oh yes, so like I say, Neville was involved in the fight alongside Ron against Crabbe and Goyle, and apparently Neville took on Crabbe and Goyle on his own, and like Ron said, he's still out cold now. It's a bit nasty, but Neville is such a comedy character. He was a bit in the movie, but in this, it's like constant. It's like any mention of Neville, you know he's going to fall flat on his face at some point. But yes, that was a hilarious line. And yeah, my final note is that it's really putting Quirrell over as the suspect. As I remember, when Harry enters the last room, the room which is holding the mirror, which is holding the Philosopher's Stone, in my movie reaction, I was like, oh no, it's the other dude. So, at no point did I suspect that Quirrell was in on it. But yeah, it's really, really pushing that Quirrell is the one that we need to be keeping an eye on. So yeah, maybe I'm just not very observant in the movies, but yeah, it really is pushing that note in this. Either way, that's chapter 13 done, Nicholas Flamel. Let's move on to Norbert. Let's move on to Norbert. Okay, so this is a bit of a chunky summary. The full chapter name is Norbert and the Norwegian Ridgeback. Harry, Ron and Hermione keep checking that they can still hear Fluffy on the other side of the hidden room. The school exams are coming up and Hermione is stressing out over getting Harry and Ron to take it seriously. While in the library, the group are surprised to see Hagrid. He anxiously tells them to stop talking about the stone in public and agrees to discuss with them more in private. After Hagrid leaves, Ron goes to see what section he had been researching in and carries several books back, telling Harry and Hermione it was about dragons. An hour later, they visit Hagrid's hut, which strangely has the curtains closed and a roaring fire on, despite the fact it's so warm. Hermione patronises Hagrid into telling them more about what's guarding the Philosopher's Stone, which is hilarious. Harry notices a huge black egg in the fireplace. Hagrid tells them that he won it from a stranger. Days later, Hedwig brings Harry a note saying it's hatching. Draco overhears Ron and Hermione arguing about going to see the dragon birth. Harry, Ron and Hermione get there in time and see the Norwegian Ridgeback hatch. Hagrid notices Draco peering into the hut before running back to the castle. A week later, and Norbert is now 3 times the size. The three convince Hagrid to give him up to Charlie in Romania. While trying to help Hagrid, I keep going to say Hedwig. While trying to help Hagrid feed Norbert, Ron gets bitten. He receives a reply from Charlie that instructs them to meet up with his friends in the tallest tower on Saturday at midnight. Would that be Saturday morning or Sunday morning? I'd imagine it'd be Sunday morning, wouldn't it? That always confuses me. The next day, and Ron's dragon bite has become green, so he has to visit the hospital wing. While there, Draco borrows one of his books that happens to have Charlie's letter in. We need to discuss that. Using the invisibility cloak, Harry and Hermione take Norbert up to the tower. On their way, they see McGonagall catching Draco creeping around waiting for them, and are delighted to hear him lose 20 points for slithering. They deliver Norbert to Charlie's friends, but forget the cloak on the walk back. They are caught by Filch. This is like, it's very interesting, guys, because this is like, I don't know how many other chapters there have been like this, but it really is its own little story. Because Norbert's not mentioned before this, and Norbert's off to Romania by the end of it. It's very interesting. It's very interesting how this is like a properly contained chapter. But either way, let's go through my notes now. So apparently now Ron and Harry are being really nice to Quirrell. Ron's like telling everyone to stop making fun of his stuttering, and Harry, I think, is just like being like a lot more pleasant to Quirrell now because they're like trying to big him up a little bit, which is brilliant. I would have loved that to be in the movie, but again, you're pressed for time, aren't you? Yes, Hermione explains that they need to pass the exams to actually progress to the next year, which when I heard that felt a little bit strange for first years, but I guess that would kind of be the case. And so yeah, it is a case where if you don't pass your exams, you're out. So that's why Hermione's taking it so seriously. Yes, they're surprised to see Hagrid in the library, which is hilarious. Ron talks about how dragon breeding has been outlawed by a warlock's convention. I clearly don't fully understand what a warlock is. I thought a warlock was essentially a dark wizard. I thought that was literally what it was, but no, I think. Is it a type of creature? I mean, it's a humanoid creature, obviously, but I mean like an elf sort of thing. I really need to look up exactly what a warlock is, because I'm clearly a little bit confused by that. And yes, Charlie getting mentioned. We hear about the common Welsh green dragon, which is kind of a shame that it's not a red dragon, because obviously the symbol of Wales on their flag is a red dragon. But yes, there's a common Welsh dragon, which is amazing. And yes, how they have to keep wiping, wizards and witches had to keep not wiping, but using spells on people to forget that they saw a dragon. So there are actually dragons around, but they had to just they had to keep on top of letting Muggles know about them. It's very interesting. It's interesting, actually, because I guess that they could allow muggles to see dragons, but then nothing else. But I guess if dragons had to be maintained by wizards and witches, then they would have to keep them secret as well. So, yeah. Yes, we hear about how each of the yeah, in fact, it's Hagrid that says it, how each of the professors had a part in the defense leading up to Philosopher's Stone. So I'm very interested to hear if there's any more stages to getting to the Philosopher's Stone, because in the movie it's free, right? Fluffy black tentacle things. No, there's like I want to say paper airplane, but that's not right. There's like a room where loads of things are flying around after. I think they are bits of paper, aren't they? Chess. The mirror itself. Yeah, I guess there are many. So I don't know if we'll be getting any more in the book, but for some reason in my head I thought there was only 3. No, there were actually a bunch, weren't there? So yeah, we'll find out next time. But I like the fact that each professor apparently had their stage of the defense, and so no one person should be able to get past it without, because each person should be holding a secret. Hence why Snape is trying to find out what Quirrell's up to. We find out that mothers breathe on their dragon. Mother dragons breathe on their eggs. That's why Hagrid had the egg in the fireplace. And apparently the book says that you need to feed them a bucket of brandy mixed with chicken blood every half an hour after they're born. Already on the brandy, guys. I mean, we know that, what's her name? Maxime? I think her name was Maxime. Says how her flying horses, not Pegasus, because Pegasus is the name, not the breed, only drink malt whiskey. And so, God, all these animals are like all over the place here. Hermione remarks to Hagrid how he can't keep him because his house is made of wood. Now, obviously, in the movie, it's stone and straw and stuff, isn't it? But yes, apparently it's actually wood in which I guess makes sense that it would be. But yes, it's actually wood, and so that would not be ideal for a dragon. That being said, he's all right with it for several weeks. Although I'm not sure if we actually know if Hagrid can actually. If Norbert, can actually breathe flames at any point. I don't think it actually comes up saying that he's actually burnt anything. Unless he burnt Fang's tail or something? There was something about Fang getting hurt, but no, I think he just bit Fang. Much like he bit Ron as well. Yes, I mean, I put my note in here, guys, how the second half of the book is so different from the movie. It really is. I feel like the first half of Sorcerer's Stone, Philosopher's Stone, the movie, was a lot more, I don't want to say loyal, but a lot more accurate to the book. But then later on, they really started to shift things around for time. Which, again, you got to do, guys. They couldn't have split the first movie up into 2. I guess they could have, because they could have ended with a Quidditch match. No, yeah, not, because the first movie is the movie which is clearly the most for young people to watch. And so, unfortunately, they had to shift a lot around, but some of this stuff in the book. The great thing is that I think that a lot of kids who loved the movies would have gone out and checked out the books, and so I guess that they can fill in the blanks there. Oh yeah, no, this is a strange note I've got here, guys. The note I've written is, Harry tells Hermione to shut up. Now, the reason why I made that note, guys, is that, again, correct me if I'm wrong, if he says that in the movie, I would be shocked, guys, but he straight up just tells Hermione to shut up. And that is so book Harry. And also, it's just natural. Kids are telling each other to shut up all the time. But because they, in my opinion, put Harry on a bit of a pedestal in the movie, you don't get that. Again, if he does tell Hermione to shut up at any point, please do correct me. But I certainly don't remember Harry telling Hermione to shut up. That did stand out. So Malfoy sees the dragon during the day. Oh yes, opposed to at night, because it's actually that's right. Yeah, this whole storyline in the movie is that they sneak out to Hagrid's hut at night to talk about Nicholas Flamel, and then they see the dragon egg, and Draco follows them out and sees them and tells McGonagall that they're out at night. And so this is completely different. This is such a different shift. It's really taken like 3 story arcs and put them into one, where it's broad daylight when Draco peers through the window and sees like them all with the dragon egg, and then runs off. And obviously he holds on to that information rather than go to tell anyone, and wants to catch Harry, actually at it, taking Norbert up the tower later on, and that's when they're all caught for being out at night. It's very cleverly done, actually. The way that the movie did that, it did save a lot of time. We just got a little bit less Norbert. Probably one of my other biggest things, apart from the fact that Harry is so different and Hermione is so different, is that fact that we hear about the Weasleys so much. And here we essentially hear from Charlie. So they send a letter off to Charlie saying about Norbert and everything and what to do everything, and like he agrees to take Norbert on. And yeah, Ron's bitten by Norbert, which again obviously isn't something that happened in the movie. Hagrid actually reprimands Ron for it, which is it reminds me of the Buckbeak scene where he's like acting up. I think he's acting up to Harry. In fact, he's seeming a bit. Is he? He's seeming a bit aggressive, and Hagrid is just like, Norbert, not Norbert, but Buckbeak, like that. He's sort of like, say, come on now. Whereas he's actually this really dangerous thing that could easily just kill one of the students in seconds. And so Hagrid's relationship with animals is amazing, guys. I would say it's similar to mine, but knowing the danger of the animal that you're interacting with is obviously very important. And Hagrid, that just seems to go straight over his very tall head. But yes, that was hilarious. He actually reprimands Ron. And yeah, Ron has to go to hospital because it's going green, guys. Just horrendous. It's like, this is like a whole chunk, which is obviously, cut out of the movie. But yeah, the fact that it seems to be going seriously bad, and the fact that Norbert may actually have a poisonous bite, which you would hope would have been in Hagrid's book that he got out from the library. And yeah, this is the bit which seems a bit too... I don't know how to word this, guys. So this seems very convenient, the way that this whole thing unfolds now. So Ron has been bitten, so has to go to hospital. Draco, who had fought with him in the previous chapter, goes to the hospital to mock Ron, and then tells Madame Pomfrey that he's just here to borrow one of Ron's books. That's why he's there, not just there to mock him. He then takes one of Ron's books, with Ron agreeing, I guess, and then that book just happened to have Charlie's letter in it. That seemed... Yeah, when that happened, I was thinking that seemed a little bit convenient, which is fine. It's a very small part, but that did seem a little bit strange. That Draco went there to mock him, told Pomfrey that he's borrowing a book, borrowed a book without Ron saying anything about it, and just happened to have the letter in it. It's fine. It's really not a big deal. But when I was seeing it, I was like, oh, that was kind of convenient. Unless Draco knew that that's... Maybe Draco did know that... No, because they read the letter in the common room, so Draco wouldn't have been there. But maybe somehow, some other way he found out that was the book that had a letter in. I don't know, guys. I feel like I mean, you can fill in the blanks behind the scenes, but I did feel like that was a little bit interesting. Yes, we meet Madame Pomfrey, I think, for the first time. I think that this is the first time we've actually had interactions with her, and she tells Harry and Hermione that Ron needs his rest. And so it's interesting that we actually lose Ron at this point. Obviously, we get replaced with another character, which will be coming up to in the next chapter. Yes, Fang has a bandaged tail, which is sad. There is Norbert's actually got a teddy bear, which apparently he starts to rip to pieces as soon as Hagrid puts it in there, which is just very sad. And it is actually really sad when Hagrid has to say goodbye, because we actually don't get that moment in the movie, but in the book he's actually like saying, Mummy will never forget you and everything. It's really, really sad, guys. Yes, so McGonagall catches Draco. I don't know what Draco was planning on doing, because you would have thought that he would have taken Crabbe and Goyle up there as well, but no, he was on his own. God knows what he was planning on doing. Because he could have told Filch to just go up there. Yeah, like, did he let Filch know when he tricked them Harry into sneak out at night before? See, I'm not exactly sure what Draco was planning on doing, but he was there on his own without Crabbe or Goyle, and he gets caught by McGonagall, and so he loses 20 points. And yes, Filch catches Ron and Harry and Hermione because they left the cloak at the top of the tower. I can believe that because it's such a relief that they got rid of Norbert. This is the great thing about this chapter, is that it is like this real stress that Norbert is causing them all. And the fact that they get rid of Norbert and they forget about the cloak on the way down, I can believe that, guys, because they're just thinking, okay, thank goodness we've got rid of that bloomin' dragon. And yes, Filch, when he catches them, says, well, we are in trouble. Which I am 99.9% sure that is his line in Chamber of Secrets, the movie, when he finds Ron and Harry outside. No, not even outside, like, you know, entering the castle at night, and takes them to Snape, which is something that we will discuss in the next chapter, because there's an interesting line about how Snape and Filch are friendly. I shouldn't really just speculate things in Chamber now, but I was wondering if maybe he took them to Snape so it would be more likely that Snape would... No, because Snape can't kick them out of Hogwarts, because Snape actually says, if it was up to me, you would be. Yeah, it's interesting that he takes them to Snape, but either way, it's because they're friendly. But yes, that line, I'm sure, is in Chamber of Secrets, the movie, but no, we actually get it in the book here. It's actually very interesting, guys, because this is something that has been building up throughout all the chapters. It really has been building up to this whole, oh, Filch better not catch you. Pretty much in every single chapter since we got to Hogwarts, it's been saying, oh no, can't get Filch to catch you. We finally have this moment of Filch actually capturing them, and so, yes, we'll get on to the consequences in the next chapter. But Norbert, really like the fact that it's very, very contained. The letter in the book thing, it really isn't a big deal, guys. The thing is, when I make these notes, is I had to give all my positives, all my thoughts, and some things which I thought were a little bit strange. I did think that was a little bit strange, but seriously, I'm making a mountain out of a molehill there. It really isn't a big deal at all. Let's get on to Chapter 15, The Forbidden Forest. So, Chapter 15, The Forbidden Forest. Filch leads the two to McGonagall's study, and they are surprised to discover Neville has also been caught. Neville blabs something about a dragon, but McGonagall believes it was a setup to trick Draco. She takes 50 points off each of them, putting Slytherin back in the lead and Gryffindor in last place. Several days later, Harry overhears Quirrell caving in to someone's demands. He relays this to the others, and they agree this probably means that Snape now knows how to get to the stone. The next day brings Harry, Hermione, Neville and Draco's detention. Filch leads them to Hagrid's hut at 11 PM at night. Hagrid and Fang lead the four into the forest looking for unicorn blood tracks. They split up into groups. This bit really threw me off a little bit. And after a while, Harry, Hermione and Hagrid, Triple H, overheard a strange slithering sound. Later, they come across a centaur called Ronan. Hagrid asks him about what could have been attacking unicorns, but the centaur is little help. Another called Bane arrives, but he is just as useful. Incredibly funny. Hermione notices a red flare and Hagrid rushes off to the other group. It turns out that Draco had pranked Neville and who fired his flare out of fear. The group are shuffled and Harry, Draco and Fang continue the search. They find a dead unicorn before seeing a cloaked figure drinking its blood. Draco and Fang flee as the figure flies towards Harry. Suddenly, a young centaur charges in and scares away the figure. Firenze lets Harry ride him to safety, much to the chagrin of Ronan and Bane. It's very interesting. Firenze tells Harry the forest is dangerous right now, especially for him. Whilst carrying him back, Firenze explains how unicorn blood can keep one alive, but at the cost of your life being cursed, and heavily hints towards what that could mean for Harry. When Harry gets back to his dorm, he finds his cloak folded in his bed with a note saying, just in case. So this is awesome. Guys, I really did enjoy this chapter. Really enjoyed the centaur stuff. I thought they were all brilliant. I really want more of them. I gotta say, when watching Philosopher's Stone the movie, this centaur that comes along and goes, oh, Harry Potter and everything, that probably was, if I was to say the weakest part of the movie, that could have been the weakest part of the movie. Just that centaur present bit, because it just seems so out of out of nowhere, and then there was nothing until, like, Order of the Phoenix, I would think it would have been, wouldn't it? But in the book, it's so much better done. But anyway, let's go through my notes in order. We'll get to it. So yeah, Neville's been caught now because he was like going to warn Harry and Hermione, like, you know, that Draco knows what they're up to, but then gets caught. Seriously, guys, I said it like already in this video, but Neville is in the book so much, and he's basically, I know, was Ron ever in this situation? He was, yes, of course he was, yeah, because he was in the hut with Hagrid, and so Neville is in this part instead of Ron, because Ron's still in the hospital. And yeah, they go off into the punishment is that they're going to go off into the forest. Yeah, McGonagall doesn't believe about the dragon, which is very, very good. She takes 50 points off them instead of the 20 like Draco. And this is the point where this is going to sound really stupid, guys, but honestly, this is the point where I thought, oh, hang on, so the Quidditch points go towards the House Cup? In my head, guys, I thought that there was a Quidditch Cup, which was called the House Cup, but then the House Cup, which was involving the different classes and everything, the different houses, was a separate thing. But no, it's all the same thing. And so Harry has actually been doing incredibly good, getting his team points. And it is made a point of how McGonagall like says to him, I would have thought I thought you cared more about Gryffindor than this, to risk, you know, losing points from them and everything, which is, you know, which is great. That really, because Harry has really latched on to Gryffindor and is very, very proud of it, more than, you know, Hermione and Ron. And that really does show a lot. And so that line from McGonagall is actually quite a heartbreak. That must have hit him pretty hard. We find out that there are giant hourglasses which collect the points that are gained and taken away for each house. That would have been an awesome visual to see in the movies. But like I say, guys, you can't have everything. But I can really envisage it, like, you know, like red for Gryffindor, green for Slytherin, yellow for Hufflepuff, and blue for Ravenclaw. And talking about Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw, I mean, apparently they are giving Harry a hard time. Gryffindor are furious with Harry after what's happened, and like they're like, you know, not so subtly just like, you know, talking smack about him as he's walking down the corridors. But even Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff are doing so as well. Now, granted, obviously Hufflepuff have a lot of reason to hate Harry because he cheated in the earlier game in chapter 13. But now even Ravenclaw can't stand him as well because they really want they want Slytherin to not win the House Cup this year. And so they're furious at him as well. But Slytherin are like applauding and cheering Harry whenever they see him, which is just that's so teenagery. I can't. But yes, that's amazing. This whole side of Harry feeling really ashamed of what he'd done, really, I don't think that's addressed at all in the movie, is it? It could be, again, guys. It's been a while since I've seen it. But when experiencing this book, you feel like Harry is at his absolute lowest. He's basically ruined his house's chances, even in the team, because he offers his resignation as Seeker of the Quidditch team, and like, you know, Wood doesn't accept it, but the rest of the team are referring to Harry as the Seeker rather than Harry now. So they're all furious at him. And this whole feeling of it almost feels like in Chamber. You know, in Chamber in the movie, at least, because we need to get to the book, where everyone is like, you know, just, is ostracizing the right term? But, you know, not really wanting to have anything to do with Harry. And they're very suspicious of him. It feels like that in this. It really does, how everyone has basically like disowned him. Apart from Ron, who's obviously always the positive guy. He like says how Fred and George have lost like countless points and everyone's still like staring at everything. But Hermione and Ron and Neville, I presume, are still friends, of course. It's an interesting note actually how Hermione is stopped like putting her hand up in class and everything because it draws attention to herself. So because she's so embarrassed about what happened, so she's just like, you know, focusing in on her work in silence. She's not like, you know, she doesn't want to be like the teacher's pet or anything, which is heartbreaking. Yeah, we get a little bit more about I think I can't remember when it's mentioned, but I think that they're either in a lesson or they're reading a book about the dates of Goblin Rebellion, which if you a lot of you guys actually have said that you first discovered my channel via my Hogwarts Legacy reaction, and in that I remarked like saying, oh, surely the goblins wouldn't do that, would like team up with dark wizards. But you guys are saying that there has been a history of goblins, you know, going rogue and, you know, not being friendly and everything. And we have dates of Goblin Rebellion right there, guys. So, very interesting. We do hear more about how Filch and Snape are kind of friend. I don't think friend is going to be the right term, because you'd imagine, because we know that Snape, it's hard, because knowing what he thought about Lily, sorry, not Molly, what he felt about Lily, even at this time, he probably wouldn't have the same opinion of Muggle-borns as other Slytherin. Because obviously Filch is not Muggle-born, he's a squib. But that's what I'm saying, that guys. Snape, I'm sure when he was young, Snape absolutely did have that thing. Because he like says about how Petunia's just jealous and how she can't use magic and everything. And Lily like calls him up on it. And so maybe when Snape was in his teens and everything, he had this resentment for people that were Muggle-born, that were Muggle-born or squibs. But as like grown out of that, you know, because of his experience with Lily, it's hard to really discuss this, guys, because this is going to be in a book down the line. But it's interesting that Filch and Snape, it literally says they are friendly. It doesn't say they're friends, but it says they're friendly. And for Snape to be friendly with Filch, I don't know. I mean, we have Draco referring to Filch as like filthy squib, and I can't remember her name, but another Slytherin does in the last movie. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting note. Now, we go on to a scene where Harry overhears Quirrell talking with someone, and in my head I was thinking, oh, obviously it's Snape then. Only upon second listening, because I actually listen to both Dale and Fry when I'm doing these videos. Upon re-listening, I think, well, hang on, surely it's just Voldemort talking to him, which is nice. Harry does like look in the room and sees that there's a door open at the other end and assumes that it's Snape, but now I think about it, it's probably Voldemort having a go at Quirrell. So that's, yeah, that's awesome. It's like the snowball thing, guys. I just didn't pick up on it the first time round. Yes, we hear Filch talking a lot, actually, which is good. I like the Filch dialogue, talking about how the old punishments have been gotten rid of, which he thinks is a travesty, saying how they used to hang people up by their wrists on the ceiling for days, and that really does make you think, oh yeah, he would really like Umbridge as a headmistress, which is just brilliant. I didn't fully understand that that's why he was so happy in Order, until you guys pointed out that Umbridge would basically be Filch's like dream teacher, essentially, and so he's really happy, and he's like saying that he wishes that he still has the manacles to chain people up to the ceilings if ever needed, which is dark. And yeah, we get a bit of dialogue between Filch and Hagrid, which was in the original movie, but it's interesting how, because they're kind of at the same level, I guess you'd kind of say. And like Hagrid like says that he shouldn't be lecturing the students, as that's not his place and everything, which is like a nice line. Hagrid tells them that if you see anything to let up a green spark, or flare as I put in my blurb, to notify people to come along, and if they get into trouble, to let off a red spark, which instantly made me think Goblet of Fire. I swear that was red. Where in the maze at the end, when Flora gets taken out, Harry finds her and lets her spark off, and it's red. So that's nice. It's nice to see that detail being mentioned this early on. I presume it will also be in the book for Goblet of Fire. But yes, that was a nice detail. So then we get to the mind-twisting bit, guys, where Harry, Hermione, and Hagrid, Triple H, go off in one direction, and Draco, Neville, and Fang off in the other. I was thinking, hang on, the movie can't be that different, because that would be really, really different. But obviously we have Neville then getting scared into firing a spark off, and, you know, Hagrid begrudgingly mixes the groups up again. So that explained that. But yes, when that was happening in the book, I was like, hang on, the movie really did change a lot of things. But no, it turned out there was a reason for it. Now we got onto the centaurs, guys, and I thought they were brilliant. I want more of them. It's so strange, because like I say, having watched the Philosopher's Stone, I did think that this bit with the centaur coming along was kind of the not as good bit as the rest of the movie, which seems so stupid. But in this, they are awesome. And I really want to know... I want to know so much more about the relationship between Bane and Firenze. And, of course, Ronan as well. It is freaking hilarious. Where, like, Hagrid is, like, talking to them, like, trying to get information. And they just keep on, like, saying... Mars is bright tonight. Stuff like that. Oh, what else do they say? Like, innocence is always the first life lost or something like that. And they just keep on talking in riddles. Not Tom Riddle. And Hagrid's like, yeah, but trying to get him back on track. Absolutely hilarious. We've rode it, and then Bane comes in, and he's just as bad. Absolutely brilliant. I love that. I got a quick note saying Hagrid calls Draco an idiot, which is excellent. So the Voldemort scene, when like, you know, Harry, Draco, and Fang find the unicorn, and Voldemort coming in, is very accurate, guys. I guess in a weird way, I would have liked some dialogue between Harry and Draco, but that's probably my movie watcher brain on there, guys. In reality, if two kids don't like each other, they absolutely would just walk in silence and not talk to each other. And so, yeah, that whole scene with the Voldemort, the hooded figure, I should say, and the unicorn, very, very accurate until Firenze comes in. And Firenze seems like a really interesting character. He really does. He's apparently a lot younger than the other centaurs that are there. And it seems like there really is this class thing. I'm pretty sure it did say that Bane was the older of Ronan and him. And how Firenze has this really different outlook on the roles of centaurs, saying that he's willing to fight alongside humans to defeat whatever it is that's you know, threatening the forest and everything, because they know what happened. I think it's Firenze says how everything is written, and they learn what's going to happen from the stars, and so they know that Voldemort is around. They actually know it's actually him, because Firenze doesn't actually say it, but he's like saying, "So Harry, who do you think would be really? It would be really good to have unicorn blood." But his life would be cursed, but it wouldn't matter because he's technically invincible. He's really hinting it towards him, and so that was very interesting. I'm sure there probably was something like that in Philosopher's Stone, but I loved the stuff with the centaurs in this. I thought they were absolutely brilliant. Yes, says how unicorn blood can keep you alive, but you then lead a cursed life because you've taken something innocent, which is just beautiful writing. So yes, he heavily hints towards Voldemort. And yeah, when Harry relays what happened to them, to Harry and Hermione, he like says how Bane would have been fine if Voldemort had killed him, which is just like, you know, Harry doesn't like Bane. And I doubt we'll see Bane again. We might do down the line. We do see some centaurs down the line again in Order of the Phoenix. Keep on mentioning it, but yeah, Bane and Harry doesn't like Bane. It would seem. And of course, Harry opens the bed sheet, and the cloak is there with a note saying "just in case." I'm not 100% sure who that's meant to have been that's put it there. I would presume Dumbledore. Maybe we'll learn more about it. But yes, he has his cloak back, which is obviously good news. But all in all, great chapter. All these chapters have been great, apart from the what was it called, Nicholas Flamel, on that stupid bit with Hufflepuff losing. But these have been brilliant chapters, and we're only 2 away from completing the first book now, guys. So now it's time for the Harry Potter book club. So I'll bring up your comments over on the Patreon and go through them. So here it is. Oh, that way. Here it is, guys. The Harry Potter book club, guys. If you want to be a part of these chats, you can. They are posted on the Patreon a few days before I start work on the books, on the book reviews, just to give you a good chance to get your comments in. This one is currently closed, but there will be many more in the future, and so if you want to be a part of them in the future, you can go join the Patreon, guys. Like I said, there's no minimum, and you can get your comments read out in here. There are a couple of little rules about like trying to keep them succinct, keep them on topic, and not to contain anything about future books and all that sort of stuff. But it's all very laid back, guys. Don't worry about all that sort of stuff. So here we go. I think we just got over 30, and so we need to get through these. So here we go. Electric shock therapy. This is the only one I've already read, and I had to make sure I liked it just in case I didn't want anyone to think that I thought this comment was hilarious. I'll say that, but the rest I haven't actually read yet, and so I'll apologise for my dyslexia beforehand. Let's go. So electric shock therapy. Hi Veggie, I just wanted to note a little detail in case you missed it. It's how Gryffindor absolutely destroyed, annihilated, obliterated and cremated Hufflepuff in a defeat so devastating and humiliating that Hufflepuffs and all their descendants will feel shame for centuries. Anyway, hope you are happy and well. I'm not after that. I love you and love Electric Shock. Thank you, Electric Shock. Like I said, I did read that comment and it was incredibly funny. The only thing I will point out is that obviously we have different copies of the book. Because this is the thing, guys. You have Philosopher's Stone, you have Sorcerer's Stone, you have Stephen Fry's rendition of it, you have Jim Dale's version of it. My version, it's very clear that Gryffindor absolutely cheated their way to win. But, you know, like I say, everyone's got different versions of the book. But certainly in mine, it was very clear that Hufflepuff absolutely did win. Including the scene where Dumbledore actually did go to them and said, you are the real house champ. So, but, you know, like I say, everyone's got different versions. Lovegood. Poor Neville. Getting punished and having to go to the Forbidden Forest for trying to help his friends. Interesting. Because that's kind of what he's doing at the end of the movie, isn't it? You know, when he gets petrified. Anyway, I love that in the books you can already see the glimpses of bravery that Neville has in spades. Very true, and these are the chapters where he says that he's not brave enough to be in Gryffindor, and yet he is putting himself out there and everything. It's so strange to see so much more Neville. It really is, but it's appreciated. Oh no. Ishi? I'm so sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. I will probably say a lot of these names wrong, I'm afraid. What do you think about the comparison between the book version and how they send away Norbert compares to the movie version? I myself like the book version. We get a bit of Charlie, which in the UK means something else if you get a bit of Charlie. Drugs, ignore me. Even though it's a letter, no, it's still dialogue from him, and it shows Hermione's willingness to now break and bend the rules to help her friends. Absolutely. It's a great chapter. And like I said, it does feel like it's a contained story in itself, because it's basically where Norbert comes in and out. I do definitely prefer the book versions. I think it's smart how they did it in the movie, because I presume it was because of time that they did it, and they were able to collapse several storylines into a shorter scene. But if you've got all the time in the world, like you do in books, the book version's definitely better. And yeah, like you say, Hermione is now a rule breaker. But I do like the fact, and I think I remarked upon it earlier on today, how she is still the same person. She's still like really focused on the work and annoyed that Harry and Ron aren't taking things seriously. But she is still also being able to be this rule breaker now. She's great. Hermione's brilliant in the book. She really is. Miss CJ. I like that Charlie is mentioned more often in the books. All the Weasleys, isn't it? It's brilliant. But I do think it was good that in the movie they skipped this part. Them handling Norbert safely to Charlie's friends was cute, but the whole progress seemed to be very impractical while reading it. I think that what you're probably saying... Oh, I'll finish your comment first. Edit, even though it did make more sense in the book since owning a dragon is legal. Very true. But no, Miss CJ, I get what you're saying. I think that it's kind of... Because you know how I keep saying it's a very contained story into this chapter? I think that that's what you're kind of saying. You're kind of saying the fact that it is contained, it feels a little bit jarring because it's sort of like, now there's dragon, now there isn't. But it changes everything. And so in the book, they're able to make the whole thing flow a lot more naturally. I think that's what you're saying. And you know what? That is a great point. It is actually a very great point. It's interesting that some people like this stuff and not like this stuff. I think it's done brilliantly in both. If I was to choose out of the two, I'd like the book version. But if you're struggling for time and you want the story to feel a little bit more natural, where, you know, the dragon isn't just getting dropped into the story and then taken out again, like the chapter does feel, yeah, I can see what you're saying. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Helena. Hey, I'd like to know what you think of the crucial differences between how the whole Norbert situation is handled in the book and the movie. The thing that always bothers me in the movie is that apparently Hagrid is busted for possessing an illegal and highly dangerous creature in his home, exposing the students to that, and he endangers students every second, but yeah. And he's not only gets away with it, but he's made to carry out the punishment of those students. Very good point, which he does by taking them into the Forbidden Forest. Absolutely. I know it's a book problem too, which is filled with dangerous creatures. That is very true. Yeah, that is kind of ironic that it is Hagrid who basically got them into it, and he's the one dealing out the punishment. Well, you know, it is punishment. They're all terrified, aren't they? Especially Draco. Yeah, that is so true. That in the movie version, Filch sees him with Norbert, doesn't he? Straight up. I completely forgot about that, and yet there is no repercussions for it. Maybe Filch just feels it's beyond his pay grade, but that doesn't seem like in character, does it? I don't know if he particularly has it in for Hagrid. In the book, they're arguing like they do kind of have it in for each other, but yeah, that's very interesting. Very good point, Helena. Hagrid is. I think in my movie reactions, I was saying how, oh great, Hagrid's here. He's gonna get everyone into trouble again. In fact, I think like the fact that in each movie he leads people into the Forbidden Forest. Maybe not being there, but tells them to go in there and everything. It's amazing. But that's Hagrid for you, though, isn't it? Rebecca. When Harry says that Professor Snape has been particularly terrible recently at the beginning of chapter 13 and suspects that sometimes he can even read minds, I seriously think Snape is being especially horrible precisely because he can read minds. Oh, and so he knows all the awful things Harry suspects of him, while he actually doing everything he can to protect Harry. That's very interesting, Rebecca, because there is a line which I didn't remark upon. When Snape and Quirrell are in the forest, and Snape says something like, "'Cause students shouldn't know about." He doesn't call it Fluffy. Students shouldn't know about. Is it? No, hang on. He either says students shouldn't know about the three-headed dog, or students shouldn't know about the Philosopher's Stone. He says one of those, and at this point, Snape shouldn't have a reason to think that any students do. Which your theory would actually clean up nicely. As a side note, I quite happily imagine Alan Rickman as Sirius Snape while reading. I know, I try not to, but I just it's so difficult. Since he was specifically chosen by J.K. Rowling, I can believe that. And she had him in mind when she wrote the character. Besides, he embodies Snape perfectly. The way I see it, if the author imagined Alan Rickman as Snape, why can't I? That's very true, Rebecca. That is very true, because I have had comments saying, hey Veggie, try and distance who you know as Snape from being in the book. Because he's much worse in the book. But I do, for the life of me, try to change his face. Everyone else I am filling in with, you know, with the actors, which I probably shouldn't as well, but even with Dumbledore, I'm thinking of Harris rather than Gambon. I'm sure that when we get to Azkaban, I will be flipping that back as well. But with Snape, I have been told to try and distance your thoughts from Alan Rickman because he's so different. But it's tough. It is tough. And I'm glad that you're happy to do it as well. That's excellent. In Sirius City? I'm so sorry about my reading. Do you mind if I ask a question? Surprised no one's done that joke. Yes, okay. You need to have watched an earlier episode of this, guys. Yes, that is one of my pet peeves, and I don't mean poltergeists. So yes, thank you very much for your amazing comment. Mercedes. Hi Veggie, I want to know what you think of the centaurs in the book compared to what we saw in the movie, because I think they are much more interesting in the book. They absolutely are. Now you do say movie there, Mercedes, but I'm also going to include Order of the Phoenix as well. I mean, they are better in Order of the Phoenix, but quite frankly, like I said in this video, the scene in the movie, and I think that even discussing with my brother, we were talking about how he just like comes along and like, oh, Harry Potter. There's something about it which seems off. Just that moment. Whereas in the book, they're brilliant. I just love imagining them just staring up in the air saying, Mars is bright tonight. Whilst people are trying to have conversations with them. Is brilliant. And I love the fact that there appears to be this political age, what's it, you know, like, I can't remember the term, but when like, you know, older people and younger people have a very different opinion of the world and everything. It's fascinating. I hope there's more in the books, but we shall see. Kirsten, don't you think Hogwarts punishments were a bit much back in the day? Yeah, well, I mean, it's same in real life. Same in real life. When Filch talks about how they used to hang kids by wrists from the ceilings for a few days, and yeah, it's not as bad as that. I agree. And then now you have to go into a dangerous forest to look for a killer at night and splits them up. Thank goodness Harry was saved. Yeah, this is the thing. I'm wondering if maybe Hagrid didn't realise it was going to be so dangerous, or if Dumbledore is having... I constantly have this conspiracy that Dumbledore is somehow overseeing the whole experience of Harry being able to confront Voldemort at the end. But yeah, it is bizarre. But then again, you know, punishments that my parents would have would have had to have seen in schools. I mean, caning was absolutely legal when my parents were at school, and it's not just, you know, it's not just the getting hit, it's the being terrified of getting hit, which is, you know, that's what keeps people in line, and that's what's always in the back of your head and everything. So schools do, you know, have this like horrible past and everything, but chaining people by their wrist for a few days does seem insane. I doubt we'll get that in Hogwarts Legacy. Maybe we will. I don't think we will. I think he's probably talking about like around 10 centuries ago. Oh no, because he says that he still has the manacles. So maybe Filch, because he's only a scribe, which I presume would mean that he won't see beyond average Muggle lifespan. But does that mean that he was party to it? That he actually has used them before? Very interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, but it is insane though, isn't it, Kirsten? Catty. I wish Neville had been shown more in the movies. Absolutely. He is a very pleasant character in the books, and I adore him. I do love the underdog characters. Katie. You and me both. I love underdog characters. In fact, my NFL team that I chose, that is actually a St. Louis Rams helmet, but they're now the LA Rams. I chose them because the year that I got into NFL, they went 1-15, which meant that they won one game and lost 15 games. 15 or 16? 16. No, 15. Oh yeah, 15. So yeah, I'm always up for underdog stories, seriously. And Neville is perfect in that slot. Like I said, if you were to do a poster of the book, this is such a weird way of putting it, but on the movie poster you would have Ron, Hermione, and Harry. If you're going to have that poster of Ron, Hermione, and Harry for the book, you would have to include Neville, because Neville is in it so much more. And like I say, he's a great underdog character. He is adorable, but he is in it so much more than I was expecting, and that is absolutely a great thing. It's a dance thing. For me personally, this is where the book and the film diverged the most. I agree. The movie manages to get the major points, but some of the finer details get left behind, like who really got detention and why. Also, how Quidditch isn't played just once by each team each year. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because the book doesn't, the movies don't really like talk about the fact that it's a long-running thing. Personally, I prefer the book for this section over the film. What about you? I agree, Dad. I do prefer the book version. I can understand. It seems like the first half of the movie had to be bang, bang, bang on all the points from the book. And then later on, they really started to try and mangle them all into the story points, the story elements all in together. Which, unfortunately, means that we see a lot less of Neville. That's the reason why we don't see much more of Neville, is because the storylines have been so pushed back in that way. I keep doing that. I do prefer the book. I'm not furious at the movie or what they did. Because if they had to do it at some point, it would have to be the second act. They couldn't have messed around with the first act, and I presume the ending is going to be pretty similar. We shall find out, though. Digo. What do you think of Draco not telling them about Norbert? This is interesting. I feel it's one of the few times in the series where a character action doesn't really make sense to me. I will add a line to that, Digo. What was Draco's plan when confronting Harry and Hermione on the tower? What was he going to do? Because he wasn't with Filch. Filch was somewhere else. And so what was Draco actually... Was he going to try and... No, he wasn't going to try and steal it. He's not that stupid. I have no idea what Draco's plan was that night. Like he said, he could have run straight off to like Snape and said, "Hey, dragon." That wouldn't have got Harry in trouble. Maybe he was waiting to get Harry in trouble specifically. Maybe that's it. But he didn't go there with a teacher. And so it wasn't getting Harry in trouble. Unless he was like going to set an alarm off or something, or like, you know, fire a flare up in the air and wake the whole school up, and then they go up and say, "Hey, what the hell are you doing here?" Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what his plan was. But honestly, I don't fully understand what Draco's plan was of the night where Norbert was being taken away. So yeah, I agree. It's interesting. That's a very interesting point. Dara, what do you think of about Snape refereeing? Blatantly biased for Gryffindor. I would have loved that in the movie. That would have been actually quite amazing. Especially since you already might have an idea why he did it. Also, looking forward to this. Whenever you have a date, we will do a pizza night to watch. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, awesome, pizza night. Wonderful. I hope. Let me know what toppings you had. This is a very common question I ask guys. What toppings do you like on pizza the most? I think my favourite topping is actually mushroom, and that was the case before I went vegan. But I do love me some mushrooms on pizzas. But let me know your favourite toppings as well. Thank you for continuing this content for our sake. Thank you so much, Dara. That's a really nice comment. And I hope you enjoy your pizza night. I'm so sorry that I've been taking so long. I need to get these out faster, but thank you so much. Clarissa, is it? I'm so sorry if I'm saying it wrong. Others have already commented with questions about the differences between the books and the films and what you think. So I won't bother you with duplicates, and so I will just thank you. Oh, thank you. Your intricate film reviews and now these book reviews have made me fall in love with this series again. Are so sweet, and I'm now rereading them for the first time in 10 years. Oh my goodness, in over 10 years, though they have been reread at least 10 times before then. Strange gap. I'm just checking to see if there's anything in there. It seems a lifetime. It seems a lifelong friend I haven't seen in a long time, and love infinitely. That is incredibly sweet. It's natural and it's like coming home. I'm so sorry about my reading during that, Carissa. Your text was fine. It's my brain, it's my dyslexia. It really gives up sometimes. But thank you so much. That's so sweet. And the fact that you're rereading it for the first time in over 10 years, that really is really nice for me to hear. Thank you so much. Super Mona Man. My favourite things about the chapters different from the movie is getting more details about dragons and centaurs, absolutely, which is something you notice in the books, more information about magical creatures and where to find them. Those fantastic beasts, ignore me. And fear, and the fear and the atmosphere of the forest being slightly better than in the movie, I agree. Also, what do you think about the centaurs being more about fate and astrology than what was shown in the movie? Finally, once again, Neville and Quidditch are shown so much better in the books. I agree. Well, the Quidditch bit not so much in the Femelle chapter, but you know what I mean. Yes, they are a lot more about fate and astrology, whereas in the only thing we really hear about centaurs is the fact that they are very tribal and like really look after, defend their land and everything, which obviously becomes a talking point in Phoenix. But yeah, very, very true. Both are done much better, and the forest scene is scarier in the books, definitely. Paula, not a question, rather a comment. Harry does not take care of his invisibility cloak. True, it is a very valuable and rare thing. Ron told Harry that when he received it, but he just throws it around and leaves it wherever. It's like leaving a priceless painting in the corner and not thinking to grab it before you leave the room. I get he's a teenager, but he has some concept of value and a rarity. I also get it's needed to happen for the subsequent plot, but it makes Harry look boneheaded. It does, Paula. I do agree with that. Like I saying back in that part of the review, maybe it's because they were so focused on getting Norbert out of there. They'd just seen what happened with Draco and everything, and so they just wanted to like get it done. But it does seem boneheaded. If it makes it unrealistic, I don't know, but it does make Harry seem a bit stupid, which is fine because it's character building and everything. But yeah, you're right. It is really stupid what he did, as in the character was stupid, not not the writer for writing it. But yeah, big mistake. And like you say, it obviously did help with the subsequent plot. Adrianic, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. A detail that I like from the books, as I remember it, is how clear it is that the whole Gryffindor house is angry with Harry, Hermione, and Neville, and how it affects them. Very true. Says a lot for me about their personalities, how whenever they're caught, Harry tries to make up excuses, stories, whilst Hermione just trembles. Yeah, she just stares at her slippers. It's said in that chapter, which is adorable. Incapable of saying anything or even looking at McGonagall's face. It sums up just thank you for I'm sorry. To sum up, just thank you for doing this, Veggie. I am, and I'm sure all of us are enjoying the book reviews a lot. Thank you so much. That's so sweet of you. It really is. Yeah, it really does. I can't remember what Neville's reaction to it is, but Hermione is just like, she's not even putting a hand up in class anymore, which is obviously very out of character. And you really get the impression that not just Gryffindor, but everyone hates Harry now, because he was like already this famous dude. And the fact that everyone knows him and now all hate him as well. It's a lot of, yes, that's a lot. And the fact that he really feels bad about what he's done to his house. That line by McGonagall saying, I thought you thought more about Gryffindor. That must have burned. Thank you very much for your comment. Oh, I'm not sure how to say your name. Is it Fjör? I'm so sorry. I'm sure I got that wrong. It's really interesting to see more of the centaurs in the books and their connection to the stars. Absolutely. Do you think Mars is bright tonight? Just hilarious. Is a sign for the return of Voldemort and therefore a coming of the Second Wizard War? as Mars is the Roman god of war. Very true. Or is it rather a symbol of Harry's foreseen death in the Forbidden Forest, caused by the Dark Lord himself? Oh my goodness! Which Firenze tries to prevent. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, because he does. Spoilers, guys. He went in Deathly Hallows Part 2. He does die in the forest by Voldemort. I thought that's what you meant for a second there, but that's actually a really good point. I don't know. I guess what I took it from is there are bad things coming. But then Firenze says that things are written, and we learn about what's going to happen through the stars. And so knowing that bad things are happening is not exactly going to be, that's not things being written. But what, for my impression of it, when we had Ronan and Bane just staring up in the air, is that it's like saying there's a storm coming, But no, you're absolutely right. The fact that they know that they know what's going to happen via what astrology. And Ronan and Bane are like furious at Firenze. I didn't even talk about it. Why? How did I miss this? The fact that I think it's Bane is furious at Firenze, having a rider, a human rider. That's so that line I thought, okay, these centaurs are awesome. That's giving so much lore. Just bang in the quick line of saying, what are you, like a common? I can't remember this. It's some sort of insult. But yeah, very, 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 very interesting comment. That's what I got from it. But yeah, it could be more that they actually know exactly what's going to happen, because Firenze is dropping huge hints to Harry, saying what it all means. And so yeah, maybe they did know that Voldemort was potentially going to take out Harry there and then. Jonas, hey Veggie, again, not a question, but I want you to know that I love this series, and it always makes my day when you upload a new part. Thank you so much, Jonas. I'm so sorry that it's taking me so long to get to them. I need to get better at that. I need a better system, to be honest. This looks like it's probably going to be as long as my previous one as well. So, but apparently you guys like the longer episodes, and so there you go, guys. You get what you asked for. Jables Boogly. They really nerfed the whole dragon bit in the movie. I understand it was for time, but you get a good insight of the types of chaotic good that the Weasleys are. Chaotic good. D&D reference there. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but yes, chaotic good, oh man, I can't remember the other ones. Yeah, the other ones. yes, chaotic good. I guess they really are chaotic good, aren't they? The Weasleys. And yeah, it does. We not just the dragon storyline, but every single bloomin' Weasley. Bill's the only one who hasn't had a lot of airtime in this book already. But yeah, getting Charlie's letter and George and Fred, Fred and George, who are just absolutely brilliant in the books. They really are. Percy getting all sorts of airtime as well. It's brilliant. It really is brilliant. We haven't even met Arthur yet, have we? But yeah, I completely agree. It was definitely done better in the movie, in the book. Sorry. Oh my god, y'all! I'm so sorry about not being able to read the name. Can you believe we meet Charlie so early in the books? He and Bill are practically non-existent in the movies. Absolutely, you hear a couple of sentences until obviously Bill comes into it in Deathly Hallows. You'll be seeing them more as we go, but not sure. But still not enough Charlie. Yeah, I mean, we've had more Charlie in this first book than I thought we would be getting at all in across the series, and so the series of books. So I'm really happy with that. But yes, I can't wait to hear more about Bill as well, to be honest. But yeah, very, very true. I think it's Yael. I'm so sorry about. I'm terrible at reading names. I really am. Jerry, right? Rather than Gary. Oh, man. Okay, I apologize. Right, I believe that Madame Pomfrey absolutely knew that Ron's injury was a dragon bite. Interesting. She probably went straight to Dumbledore. My theory is that Dumbledore, who monitoring the situation closely, perhaps even considered Hagrid to let them take Norbert away, followed up with the astrology tower and grabbed grabbed Harry's cloak. Very true. So this is really what going to what I'm saying. Thank you for your comments. This is what I'm saying about. I feel that Dumbledore definitely has his overarching sight about what's going on with the Harry situation, and that would absolutely sync up with it. The fact that Madame Pomfrey actually knew about Ron's bite, because Ron would have had to made up something, and I'd imagine that a dragon bite is going to be worse than like an insect bite, and so I want to know what he actually told. I want to know what he actually told Pomfrey, but you reckon that Pomfrey absolutely knew. That's very interesting. That's a very interesting theory. I like it. And Lindsay, this is my fault. Lindsay asking where the video is. I need to make it a lot more clear that this. In fact, I need to put it in the actual image, saying leave your comments below to get yours in the next video. Yes, I unfortunately didn't make it clear enough that this is where we can collect the book review comments, and so I can read them out here. But thank you all so much for your amazing comments. I really enjoyed this part, guys. I really do enjoy going through all your thoughts and everything for it. It really is. It really does feel like an actual book club. It really does, where we're all like giving in our notes and everything, and lots of different opinions as well. Because I think we all agree these chapters are very, very different from the movie version, and everyone gave their own opinions of how they liked that and what they don't like about it, and what they could have done, what they liked what was done. It's brilliant. I thoroughly enjoy doing the book club, guys. So sorry these take me so long to get around to. I will endeavour to get a lot better after we finish this book and get onto Chamber of Secrets. We're 2 chapters away now, guys. It doesn't feel like we're two chapters away from the end. It really doesn't. I'll see you next time for the last episode of the first book, guys. Very exciting. Please subscribe, all of us. I'm VEGGIEKNIGHTS, and I'll see you next time.